how to move on the basketball court. This is something I've been thinking about, just kind of the way people move and run. I'm out in Spain, northern Spain right now, and I'm watching a lot of basketball. I'm watching NBA. I'm watching high school through YouTube. I'm watching EuroLeague. I'm watching Spanish League. And I'm watching the team I'm practicing with, my buddy Harrison's team, which is an amateur team. So I'm watching all kinds of players, and something that I've been noticing and thinking about is basically how to slow down and the difference between the pros and the amateurs. From what I've seen, this is an observation, and I could be wrong on it, but it seems like, for one, obviously the pros are in way more control, and they want to be in control because basketball is a game of your last two steps in a lot of ways. So you don't necessarily want to be in a sprint when you're taking those last two steps, because you can't, just the body doesn't work that you can like slow down on one, you want to be able to Euro step or jump stop or whatever, right? So you want to be in control. So something I feel like the pros are doing is they don't slow down nearly as much, and they also sprint far less from what I've seen. And I'll contrast this with the amateur team I've been watching. So basically, it's the body's just not very good at slowing down compared to how it is at speeding up. In order to slow down, one way is just to jam your body against the ground, and that's when you'll hear really loud, slapping, painful steps, not squeaks, but just smack, 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 right? You obviously don't want to be doing that. The top guards are really agile and pretty quiet, cat-like. Iverson, right? So I feel like what I'm seeing the pros do, they're more in control. They try to move laterally fast. They try to not be sprinting very much because they know they can't slow down. But when they do sprint, they either find contact or go up, explode off the ground, and slow down by landing either off one step or two step, right? And then what I've been seeing the amateurs doing is basically their field goal, obviously they're less skilled and their field goal percentage is much, much lower. But in general, on offense and defense, I feel like they're sprinting way too much, which is getting them out of position because it's hard for them to slow down. It's hard for them, the body, and it's tiring them out. So everyone's super tired. But I mean, that begs the question, like, don't you want to be sprinting on defense? Like, don't you want to be max exerting? I mean, kind of like, sliding laterally, sure, and it should be occupying a lot of energy, definitely, but just getting sprinted in one direction is a good way to get crossed up and on the floor sliding out of bounds, right? Like jumpy defenders get crossed up and they get out of position. They get pushed off and they fall or whatever. So like, it seems to me that just being in control is way better, and that doesn't necessarily mean that these guys aren't moving extremely fast. They're just not exerting themselves maximally, and they're better conditioned also, so that comes into play. But that's just something that I've noticed, something about how movement happens on the court. So like, for me, how that affects my game, it makes me want to be very agile, very cat-like, move gracefully, dance on the field or on the court. I'm out in the field right now doing some barefoot work or whatever. And I feel like that is an adjustment I made from coming here, because at the beginning I jumped into the pace they were playing at, which is like, you should be exhausted, sprint, 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 sprint in practice, and I wasn't as effective as I would have liked. And I realized that I could actually just dial it back and perform better just by moving at something closer to like a pro pace, I feel like. And to contrast that with the Spurs also, this is definitely connected, I promise. The Spurs are atop of the NBA right now, again. And they've been on top, on and off, year after year after year, without lottery picks and without spending much. Obviously, they have good players, but anyways, watching their sets and such, they really aren't sprinting through their sets. They're kind of jogging through their sets so that the bigs can get in position to set screens. I mean, the guards will be more likely to maybe sprint right before you get the ball into a jump stop, but then you even put yourself off balance. So like, these guys are moving fast, but yeah, and to even go off of that, here's another thing I noticed is LeBron James is running on his heel. He heel strides a lot, and normally you'd think sprinters, they sprint on the ball of their foot. That's kind of more the natural way to run. And seeing LeBron James run on his heel was really curious to me because it slows you down a little bit when you run that way, and it could be injury. But it's also possible that he wanted to run fast while braking so that he could basically be in control, move slower, right? So those are my thoughts today. Thoughts on moving slower on the court, being in more control, and being more effective on offense and defense. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you think this is totally crazy, or if you think this idea is good. It's just something I've been noticing from watching a lot of basketball. So move slowly.